Yep. Unfortunately.
Call this meeting order, Stuart City Council tentative agenda, Monday, October 11th, 2021, 6:30 p.m. Council chambers. Call to order. Belden. Here. Cobal. Here. Reslow.
Here.
Glass.
Here.
Aspirin.
Yeah.
Agenda approval, consent agenda, approval of minutes of 9/21/2021, approval of financial statements as of 9/30/2021, approval of bills as presented, approval of liquor license Stuart Bowl, approval of liquor license Casey General Store, and I want to move number 15 up on the agenda so Jim can talk just a minute if he has to go to a fire meeting. We need a motion on the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Renzo, second by Belden. How do you vote? Belden?
Yes.
Cobal?
Yes.
Renzo?
Yes.
Glass?
Yes.
Askren?
Yeah.
Okay, Jim? Dave said he had commitments and you've already talked to him.
Yes, in regards to traffic concerns on Northwest Second, after conversations with Police Chief Reha, we have at this time decided to try and increase police presence as
Because you said down below, if you put the
It's
top.
down grade both
get
ways.
started.
and with, winter coming and stuff like that, we want to try if we can just have PD increase their presence and see if that won't.
And
take
it worked
care of
fairly well at the racetrack when we was
Yes.
having problems.
Yep.
Good.
So that's the game plan for now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
So you all just call Bob and tell him that's what's.
I can
Okay.
take care of
All
that
right.
tomorrow.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks, Jim. Okay, for utility superintendent's not here, but Dan Stover's going to talk.
All right, so I went ahead and I've got, this wasn't in the packet, but it's just an aerial view of what we're talking about. Sometimes it's nice to have a photo,
Yeah,
just so you
right.
can really visualize.
The same one that Pat gave us last month.
Is it good? I didn't know if Keith may have already given me that then. So Pat talked about this area. It sits within our city yard. You can see on this picture, it's kind of where that pole pile is. So I think it was referred to P&Z and they looked at it and kind of given it their. Now we're back here just looking to get council approval to vacate that. We did explore other options initially. This wasn't our first choice for where to put the tower, but as you know, land is very expensive and everything we looked at, we're just the best value for our customers. So that's why we chose this area. It was something we weren't gonna have to make a purchase, so.
That's a concern, I guess, that I have. When we dispose of city property, we charge for that. And so I guess after thinking through this, to me, I think that we should have this appraised in a sale format, even though it's two utilities. When the utilities do work for us, we pay the utilities likewise. So I guess to me, it would be the same type of approach. I guess we're disposing of city property.
This is a private street, right?
Yeah.
It's just not
Just
put in.
Just the spot that is outlined there is the only part. That street does not go through. Obviously the depot's there, so it really couldn't be put through. And
The other concern I have is the radius, because I know when they expanded the fire department, they had to adjust the plans accordingly because of the proximity to the water tower. When we built the city hall, there was a water tank. Our premiums are gonna go up because of that, so we had to leave that tank. When we sold the town hall, we had to put a parapet wall up in order to maintain, whatever fire protection, stuff like that. So my concern is that we don't just jump off without thinking it through, from the city perspective is all I'm getting at. Because we set a precedence in, letting city property go, the next person comes and asks and they want city property because they're using it anyway. That's just my perspective.
my perspective is that, and I understand that, that's reasonable when a private citizen, a contractor, a developer wants to have property. It's only fair they would pay for that property. I guess I generally see the relationship between the city and the utilities is more a partnership. Technically, the utilities doesn't really own the property.
Right,
The city owns property.
Right.
And so essentially what we'd be doing is we'd be buying property from the city that the city would. That's kind of a,
but it takes
that's
it out
one
the
way
use
to
of the
look.
city. There's
Yes.
a radius factor too, because of other buildings, if Jim wanted to expand the city, I don't know. I guess without asking the questions to insurance, what would preclude, anything that goes on in there?
Yeah, I guess we'd have to ask the question,
Yeah.
is it realistic where the city utilities has operated in this property as our city yard for decades? Is it realistic to think that this is gonna impede work on this property, which is already our property, where we store things? I mean, I can tell you, we have been working on this project for a few years, and we're trying to move it along. and,
Sure.
Get where we need to be. I can tell you that I don't see where this is gonna cause any major issues where it's next to a sports complex and two city buildings, but
And that may be the case, that literally may be the case, but at least we got documentation, you know what I mean, from EMC that would say that, then it doesn't, they can't come back on us if there was a request for Jim to do something over there, or utilities, if there was some sort of change there. My concern is, just other things that have happened that have recently.
Well, we've been chastised up here before about closing city streets. And whether or not one goes through now or 10 years from now or 20 years from now, we're always told, don't close the city street, don't do that. And I believe that was planted for one, it's just not put in.
But the part that is,
Oh.
go ahead, sorry.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
okay.
just gonna say, I understand, whatever we need to do to potentially move this along, we're willing to do. I just think it's important to note that this is not a street that goes through anywhere. The part that is the plotted street, it ends where that pole pile is. That street, you could not continue that street on through even if you wanted to, because that is not.
May I ask a question? What is the purpose for the water tower?
Well, basically, we need the increased capacity. Stuart's grown a lot in the past decade or so. The city's done a great job of encouraging development. We've got several new housing complex and with Marks and the development out there and Vacate and so forth. We use a lot more water.
So you would say that the constructing of a new water tower is for the benefit of the city of Stuart?
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's ridiculous to ask utilities to pay the city for something that is for the benefit of the city. The utility is simply the middleman, so to speak, as far as constructing it. So I personally think that we should approve your request as is.
I very much appreciate that. I will say that you make a great point in that anytime we pay for something, we're gonna have to pass that on to our, just like if you guys do an improvement, that gets passed on to how it works. So, for instance, as we give the city, the utilities doesn't charge the city for that because the effect would still be borne by the citizens, They're gonna pay for that no matter what, so we provide all the water and electric for the city free of charge. So then, when it's a situation like this, if we pay for this, that is gonna directly be passed
How
on
much does
to
it
our
cost?
ratepayers.
But how much does it cost the water tower?
Cost of the water tower is over $1 million.
Okay, so if we got $15,000 for a street out there, so if we got that for this, what's the percentage of 7,500 into $1 million? Nothing, right?
Well, another way to look at that would be is if you're gonna charge the utilities just a token amount of money just to prove a point.
Well, it's not to prove a point, it's to be consistent with what we've done with city property in the past. That's my concern, I guess, is utilities or not, it's just, that's my own concern.
I just don't, I understand.
So,
I personally don't see the utilities as a private citizen or a private entity.
Right.
We are we are part of the city, the utilities and the city. As far as most of the people that live in Stuart are concerned, we are one. A lot of
Right.
people don't even, aren't even aware of the, the separation. We all,
Right.
operate in the same tax ID number.
What other properties did you look at? Just,
We looked out at Mark's development, and the parcels were just too large.
And this is better than that because you take away development because of the radius impact. Forrest, are you familiar with putting these up as far as like the radius issues with development in proximity or?
Yeah, we do a lot of water towers.
So what's
And
the,
having a water tower in the middle of town is a really good location. If you have a water tower on the
okay,
edge of town, then it's real hard to get your turnover in the tower. So having a tower, adding to the existing one, close proximity like that, they operate a lot easier together and they turn over a lot better.
but as
So-
far as the development close to those, like when we did the fire station, we had to modify those plans because of the proximity to the water tower.
I mean, if you're,
What's the time frame on building the water tower?
What's
He's asking the time frame to build the water tower.
Well, we'd like to go out for bids for it this fall before the end of the year. This is kind of one of the main things that's, holding us up. So if we can get bids in, we'd like to start construction next year.
so just to go back
I'm
to,
wanting to know what time frame building water tower is.
Oh, it goes clear through 2020, to the end of 2022. So it's,
so you-
if we start in the
Start
spring, we should be
construction
done
next
at the end of the year, next
I'm
year.
not talking about all the architectural, the drawings and all that stuff.
This is-
I'm not worried about all that. From the day you start construction of it, the day you end, time is that.
We're supposed to start construction in the spring and be done by the end of the year. That's,
Okay, you're looking at 6 or 7 months,
yeah, yes,
okay.
okay, construction.
yes.
And just to go back,
Do we have anything to back up? If we would take the other water tower down, put that one back up there, do we have water backup for the water tower that we have now?
Well, we're not taking the existing one down. By having two towers, it gives one tower out of service. When it comes to maintenance,
Then tell me exactly where this water tower is gonna go.
okay, do you know, you've been in our city yard before at the utilities?
Yep,
Okay, kind of over on the east side, there's a pile of poles right there. Kind of sits between the parking and that east fence. And so it would sit kind of where that pole pile is. As you pull into our yard, it'd be straight to the east and a little bit.
oh, you're talking, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yep,
So, okay, you're talking about the street that goes to the ball field does not go straight through.
yeah, it ends there at those gates, and the plotted part of it just goes, a couple hundred feet to the north and then stops. So,
And you guys don't have enough space over there to construct a water tower without closing that street?
well, no, yeah, if we're not closing the street, because there is no
It's a
street
dead
there.
end, right?
Yeah, it's just a grassy area.
There could be,
Where's it gonna lead to?
actually,
Yeah.
there could be.
Well, the
Where's
thing
the
is,
street gonna lead to?
Nick, the street doesn't go through the property and continue any further.
I know it don't, but it could be at one time in the future.
It'd have to go through the depot, correct?
Yeah,
Literally,
if you
have to
made
go through
another
the-
railroad crossing and removed the depot, you could put it through.
Oh, it'll run right into the depot?
Yeah, it would come straight through,
Okay.
so,
I didn't know exactly where it's located, but now I know.
yeah, it would be very difficult.
just to get back to what I was asking before, you said Marx's, you look.
We looked at some land that Dudley owns, it's over, just to the west of Kading.
Okay,
We looked over there, price-wise, it was pretty expensive, and there was gonna be a lot of main expansion to get to it. We looked over here, but behind the grocery store, Earhart, that family owns that, we looked at that. They we're not interested in breaking it up for that purpose.
Okay.
We need it to be on the south side because we've already got this tank on the north. By having that on the south, we only have a couple of mains that connects the north and south half of town. So by putting this on the south, that's gonna help flow on the south side. So, as far as controls go, this is pretty handy having it here because we can radio control back and forth. So,
And I appreciate that, instead of just coming up and saying, well, here's the spot we want it. I'm kind of interested, what due diligence did you look at? You know, why isn't it feasible to go to these other places
yeah.
at this point? So,
Are you opposed to getting something from EMC or from insurance to say that there's no issues from, you know, liability for radius activity and?
No, that'd be fine. We can
Okay.
totally look into that.
Teresa, you got something? Yeah.
I think we'd like to make a motion.
Oh,
You want me to do it?
Are you guys okay putting insurance verification in there or not?
So my motion would be to go ahead and refer the vacation of the street to our city attorney for no cost and to get the insurance verification.
And then all
Second.
soft costs would be incurred by utilities? Are we paying soft?
Well, I mean,
Administrative
legal
costs?
costs is yes. I mean, we asked Pat last time if he would pay for legal costs. Legal costs I get, but paying for a street, I'm completely against. So, I mean, I would ask that you guys would incur the legal fees in vacating the street, but as far as purchasing the street, my motion would be for zero.
And can
And
we
I
add,
second that
can
motion.
we add to this that says, vacation for city department or internal department, so it's clear that it's not a private citizen?
yeah.
Correct.
So there's no precedent set,
So, yeah.
thoughts?
Okay. We have moved and seconded. How do you vote? Belvin,
Yes.
Kavah,
yes.
Renslow,
Yes.
Glass,
Yes.
Askren.
Yep.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you for
Thanks, Ben.
taking the time to
Thanks,
explain
Trevor.
that, I appreciate that.
Thanks,
I
John.
appreciate it, Ben.
Okay, sixth annual financial report. Oh, I missed one? Oh, Casey. Forgot about that. Who's doing that? Forrest?
Forrest. Forrest, will you give us a background on why this is coming up?
So there's two items on the agenda. The first one is the Casey's project. So as you know, Casey's is up and running, and they're operational. But Jim and I have been working all summer long to get them to finally get some cleanup items. Ever since this April, I think April of this year, we've been going to Casey's and giving them lists of cleanup items. They tore up the road going towards the cemetery on South Sixth, and they haven't repaired that. And a couple pages of cleanup items, and they just
Like 20 items?
like 20 items, and they just barely pick at them. We ask them for an update, and they'll get to it. And so we've been doing that all summer long, and we've not had a response back.
How many
Not-
times have you reached out to them?
So I checked my emails, it was 7 different times, about once a month or even more than that per month since.
So they know, it's not a case of where they could say, well, we didn't know about that.
No.
They've been.
Give them a 72-hour notice.
So we have a development agreement with them, and there are provisions in that development agreement that say that if we give them notice per that development agreement that they're in default, they have 30 days to remedy that and respond. So the request from the council would be to authorize me to, under the provisions of the development agreement, to start that process.
Do we need a motion on that?
And also to remedy the punch list on our own dime. Let's just get that done, so we don't have to deal with it. And so Jim's already got whatever that is, and you estimated that cost to be up to what?
Oh, I mean, they just, I mean, they haven't done the cleanup, and they've also not given us, there's an appendix E where they're supposed to give us all the costs.
Okay.
For the project. They've not done that either, so that we can't move forward with how much we're paying for the TIF because we don't have how much they spent.
So just so I understand, so even if we did this, they'd have 30 days still to correct it.
Yes.
before it was done, right?
I gave my copy
So,
away,
right.
whatever that says
So-
in there.
So so they could come back and I don't know, do we want to do
They
the,
have time to remedy.
How many
it.
times have they responded to your 7 times that you reached out?
3 or 4 times.
Okay, but not recently.
I think it's last time was a month ago.
I would like to see you send the default, but I don't want to start incurring costs until after the 30 days. I don't want to jump the gun and start spending money and
Yeah,
then them come in and start remedying,
right.
and then we're out the money we can't recover because it does allow them the 30 days.
Yeah, we can't go out there and
finish
do
the stuff?
finish all the
Right.
stuff for them. We have to give them the time.
But
to-
you should have the authority to do that if they're defaulted on this,
if
and you
they-
follow that timeline. And
Yeah, if it's
notification.
30 days after that, then
Yeah.
after the 30 days, then we could do that.
So,
So that, I can make that motion to terminate the agreement.
Well, not terminate it, it's just
is to
to
notify them.
notify them as the default measures of
Okay,
whatever
default
paragraph.
provisions.
Yeah,
Okay, and then request that you guys remedy the punch list. And then
After that time expires.
they'd be excluded from the 2021 TIF certification. I mean, all this stuff should be in a letter, right?
it'll be in an
Or an email
email
of
saying that they're in, the city council said they're in default of the development agreement in accordance with that paragraph. In accordance with that paragraph, you have 30 days to do whatever that says.
But you should have the authority to move forward on that, even the punch list and the 30
I
days.
mean,
of
if you,
default.
if you.
Can we revisit this in November just to see where we're at
Yeah.
for their 30 days?
Yes, that's what I would say is
But here's the,
notify them in the 30 days and then we'll come back to your November council meeting and say, here's what they respond or here's what they're doing. And if
but
they,
here's the concern with that is, I mean, this TIF certification, it gets voted on in the November meeting. So if that's agenda item 1, and oh boy, they fixed everything finally after 7 months of harassing them to follow through with what they're supposed to do, then what? So you have to have a TIF certification if they're in agreement and if they're not in agreement. Then,
right,
Yeah,
That's
we'll
fine.
have to,
Right?
Lovely.
Lovely.
Won't work for us, but we'll comply.
Or should we wait till December to send them this default?
I'd say.
I think
get it
Forrest and I
going.
can work on it.
I mean, I would
I'd
like,
say get
I would
it
like to
going.
see them have the default tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah,
I'd like,
I will
the
send it.
sooner the better,
Yeah, I will
just
send it to
to
them
start moving.
Jim, you got input?
Yeah, I'd like to see something move forward as rapidly as possible, because it's getting almost too late in the season to repair that road.
Okay.
What are
It's
they
gonna-
supposed to do? I mean, what are the,
There's quite a bit of mill out and asphalt replacement where they've crushed the sides off, and then a double chip seal for several hundred feet.
Yeah.
It's almost too late in the season to do it now.
Yeah.
And again, Jim, this is all stuff that they are aware of, right?
Oh, yeah.
Go out.
Okay, perfect.
No, yes.
So yeah, I mean, I would say too, like Brian, move forward, but I wouldn't want to start any work on the 10,000, on the punch
no, but
list
you should have the
until-
ability to do that based on their feedback if they're just like done and not responding. But if we discuss it in November, then we'll know.
So do you want to read your motion again, Brian, so I should?
Yeah,
Sure.
move to
Move forward.
Respond to the default
We're gonna
provisions
authorize Forrest to notify Casey.
on the default provisions within the agreement, request that you have the authority to work through the punch list as well, but we'll see that in November. And then I don't think we need to worry about the TIF exclusion because we'll have 2 versions of it.
Yes.
Okay, moved by Brian, do I have a second?
Second.
Or we could wait till the next
Second
one.
by
So, second.
Renslow. Okay, so how do you vote? Belden,
Yeah,
Kova,
Yes.
Renslow,
Yes,
Glass,
Yes,
Askren?
Yeah.
Okay, I will get that out
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Forrest.
Thanks, Forrest.
Okay,
there's a second part of this.
So White Pole Road. Oh. Is that part of
No,
Peterson's?
No, I said the
what's the
second part of
timeline on
it.
that slurry, by the way, where we're talking about?
So, patience,
Okay.
getting there.
I'm pretty patient, you know that.
that's it.
That's what I've been.
So I reached out to Fort Dodge Asphalt again today, saying, where are you at with your schedule to get started? I didn't get a response from Fort Dodge Asphalt, and we've asked them to let Jim know when they were gonna get started, and I talked to Jim, he's not heard
I have
anything,
not heard
either.
today yet, no.
So I'll keep reaching out, keep pushing for them to get done, because it's supposed to be done this fall. October, November, usually they. So they need to get it done here in the next couple months. So we'll keep pushing for them to get that work done. So that's where we're at with the Fort Dodge asphalt. Second thing is the other part of this was the grading work in front of Pelgas and
R&D.
R&D and Landis. And so Jim and I, last week, we walked all that, figured out a plan. And what we're going to do is we're going to go out and survey all that to figure out grades, figure out what we need to do to get the kind of a gentle swale, I'll call it, back in the driveways to get that water not running along the edge of the street, clean out the culverts. There's some culverts that need to be replaced because they're smashed. And so do all that work, and then we'll go out for quotes for some local contractors to do that work, and we'll do the construction staking. And we'd have Jim just watch, make sure they get it done the right way. Jim would do that part of it. And so before you tonight is an engineering agreement to have us do the surveying, get the plans put up, get the quotes, and then do the staking for the
And this is all
project.
part of the up to 50?
That's all part of that $50,000 that we talked about, yes.
So the engineering fees are built into that 50.
They're built into that 50, yes.
I'm gonna make that motion.
Okay, moved by Belden, second by Cobal. How do you vote? Belden?
Oh, hold on, I got one more question. On your thing, it said 98, whatever the number was, but that's up to. So that's
That's
not
right.
saying that you guys are actually gonna end up billing 98. It's
That's
just
correct, that's a
your
maximum.
hourly fee and that's your maximum.
Yeah, not to exceed, it's an hourly not to exceed, that is correct.
How much are you charging us to pursue this Casey's, thing?
Construction cases, so no, there's no additional charge.
Okay. I knew that answer before I asked. Thank you.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. So how do you vote? Belden?
Yeah.
Cobal?
Yes.
Renzo?
Yes,
Glass?
Yes.
Askren?
Yeah.
Thank you.
thanks, Forrest.
Any other questions while I'm up here?
Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 6, annual financial report.
That's the report. 6 and 7 is the report that I file with the state
6 and
audits
7.
every year and with the Department of Management every year regarding the TIF and all that finance issue. We file that every year and we publish in the paper.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved by Cobal, second by Belden. How do you vote? Belden?
Yep.
Cobal?
Yes.
Renzo?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's for 6 and 7.
That was 6 and 7. 8, general obligation $400,000 loan at this time. Oh, do I need to open the public hearing?
Yeah. Yes. We open the public.
I need to open the public hearing. Any comments, concerns? Did you receive anything, Ash?
No.
All right, close the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay,
He-
So the loan simply provides funding for the ambulance and also for a variety of public works equipment. The ambulance component of the financing will be paid for with the gas franchise fee, and then the public works vehicles will be paid for by road use tax and sewer. Glad to answer any questions on that.
So, need a motion?
Yes, we need a
Make a
motion,
motion.
solution 2130C.
But I want those 3 sources cited as revenue sources.
We got it in the minutes and
Okay.
every presentation.
And when does that Mid-American revenue source kick in?
It should already, very soon, during the current fiscal year.
So you'll be able to align that with the payments when we get the rest of it?
Correct, and you won't have any of the franchise fee revenue be committed toward debt service until FY 22-23. So you've got cushion there to cover the current year,
Okay.
so you're covered for the current year.
so you made the motion, then we.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second? Second by Cobal. How do you vote? Belden? Cobal?
Yes.
Renzo?
yes,
Glass?
Yes.
Askren?
No.
Okay, 9, urban renewal amendment. At this time, open the public hearing. Comments, concerns? Did you receive anything, Ash?
No.
Close the public hearing,
Then you can get all that in one motion.
and then all these will be in one motion.
9B and C and D.
To be
Good idea.
Yes.
doing all at once.
Where's this one fit in, Ash?
9B is to approve the amendment of the
No, this one is Catholic Church. Where's the resolution on the agenda for that?
Catholic Church, that's the annexation, I think that's item number
That's not the same thing.
12, probably.
That's something else.
Oh, okay, sorry, I was jumping forward.
So we're moving and take, we need to approve 9B, C, D, E. For one motion, if you would like.
And setting the date on the others is 11/8/2021 on C, D, and E.
Okay.
Move by Cobble. Second,
Second.
a Glass, okay. How do you vote? Belvin?
Yeah.
Cobal?
Yes.
Renslow?
Yes.
Glass?
Yes,
Askren?
Yeah.
Okay, 10, employee health insurance.
The annual increase we get every year. And I guess I put the explanation of how much the increase. We always tie this to the wages and stuff.
Hey, Ash, I got a question. So the amounts here that you got, are we paying for, is that individual insurance or family insurance?
Flat, doesn't matter. Was a single person.
It's
It's
all
a
the
flat
same.
feature.
Per person.
Yeah, flat number of features.
So if you got a family, it covers it.
Yeah.
I'll make a, you just need a motion?
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Renslow, second by Askren. How do you vote? You got one
Hold on a
question?
second. This is monthly.
Monthly.
Month,
Monthly
$55. 1%.
Utilities, they already approved it, right?
Need one.
Or they what?
Move them second.
Oh, somebody seconded it?
Mixed it.
Oh, yeah, okay. So how do you vote?
Yeah.
Belvin?
Yeah.
Cobal?
Yeah.
Renslow?
Yes.
Glass?
yes,
Askren?
Yeah.
Okay, spraying bigs for North and South Oak Grove Cemetery.
Oh, I don't know why. So I think this was supposed to be last month because
Well,
these services have
we-
already.
It's already been sprayed.
Yeah.
They took the lower bid, but
So we did this
Can
about,
I ask a question?
yes.
Ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Mick.
In cemetery, we hired Springer and he worked for us for 8 years and he damaged a lot of stones and never fixed any of them. Why do we keep allowing him to bid on things and pay him money if he didn't even fix what he's supposed to?
You want me to go ahead? So, Mick, I don't know what that list looks like, but I've been on the cemetery board for over a year now, or just about a year, almost. I guess
That ain't
almost
long
years.
enough.
So I don't know of any stones that he hasn't fixed. They haven't come to our attention. We had one stone that was broke, and I don't know how it got broke, but I know that it's getting fixed. So I don't know of any other.
You need to go out and walk the cemetery.
Well, I walk it all the time, and we talk about it every month.
Yeah.
why was this done without, being on
All right,
the agenda first?
let's talk to Mike Johnson.
Well, I talk to Mike Johnson every month at our cemetery board committee meetings.
I know.
So I guess if there's something that we don't know about, we're having a meeting on Tuesday, you can come talk to us about it.
And this is actually,
I will, but my question is none of that got fixed. We paid him an extra $5,000 because he said that he lost money on his contract, but we did this job, he did his job. He should have that, not us. And we give him 5,000 more.
I mean,
I don't know, I just don't understand it when you got a contractor that doesn't live up to what he's supposed to do, and you guys just keep hiring him and giving him extra money and everything else. I don't understand it.
Yeah, he was low bid.
Low
So those
bid.
were the only two bids that we got. And
Yeah.
and we have to keep it,
no, it
Should've
shouldn't
been
have
done
been.
without.
No, we don't have,
you know, if you let me finish, we have to keep the mowing and the spraying
Yeah.
separate.
Why?
It's just the way it has to be done for line items. when you allocate
Why?
budget
Why?
reasons. I don't know.
I don't.
It's
Why does it-
what I have been, I don't know, that's what I've been told. So that's the way we do it. It's the way it's been done for years.
That doesn't mean you have to keep doing something that way though.
And this is just after the fact because it's already been sprayed. They submitted the bids and,
Well, the bid should have been here last month because,
yeah, they should have
Trying to
been.
get it across to you that he has cost us enough of money and keeps giving him jobs.
you can't prove as people.
Let's get Mike to take a walk.
I'm not-
Those phones were
It's
done
not
in the
the
last 8 years. In the last 8 years, the only one mowed out there was Swinger. Now, tell me about proof.
I don't think so.
We just need a motion to approve
So
because it's already been done.
Yeah, well, see, but that's my
I know
concern
it,
too, is
I
that,
know it has, but I asked,
You have to take a look.
I want to make a point to let everybody there.
Why would you not?
He keeps
Is
talking.
there-
I'm just saying because,
Fire back.
to me, I think the same person should mow and spray.
But
Because
here's the thing, the second bid, we just went through this last month in our cemetery
Yeah.
board meeting. The second bid was for chemicals that aren't even approved for turf. So really, that second bid was invalid.
We can tell them what product we want.
We did tell them what product. Jim had specs, opened it for bid. Those were the two bids that came in. The cemetery board moved to approve John Schwinger's because he was the lowest bid. But the second bid was for chemicals that are not approved on turf.
Then go put it out the bid again. You don't have to take it just.
Okay,
I can't, the weeds are gonna grow
We're not.
next month. and
Back
then
out
what are you
the
gonna be mad about?
Mick, this is why,
Oh, Jesus, Frankie.
Oh,
that's fine. I make a motion to go ahead and approve the spring bid as submitted.
so did you make a motion? Because it's already been sprayed.
I think it needs to be clear that there should be money spent or jobs completed before they're voted by.
have two different people doing it. I'd like to see them communicate, put this in the motion if you don't mind, is have them communicate, so you're not having somebody go out and mow and then they spray the next day.
No,
But they
it
did.
was,
You guys
it
went
was,
through it.
yeah,
I mean,
we've been through all of
It was
that.
and it didn't.
What if he sprays something hot?
It was something very chaotic and we ended up having to spend a little money on an attorney to get some stuff resolved. But it's resolved, it's done, it's over.
That's why the same person that mows it should spray.
Well, and that's not my call. I just,
Anyway,
Well, let's
I would
make-
ask you to talk to Jim Henderson
But he
about
was
that when he
twice
is
the
present.
amount.
but anyway, back to my point, Christina, would you mind if we put that in that they need to communicate, just so they're on the same
Sure.
page?
They do communicate.
Well, I would just like it in our motion, so we know that they're gonna do it.
Mick, what'd you
We'll vote
say?
in the motion,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
We'll vote in the
Hold
motion.
on.
Oh,
Mick, what'd you say?
I didn't say nothing else. I
no,
just can't understand.
but it did get sprayed before the council approved it. It's already done.
And
We
some
just-
of this is just timing issues because of when weeds grow, well, when weeds grow and when, so I get that, yeah, so.
But I mean, we could go into a timing issue with something else and they could start working, then we
Agreed.
come back and pay it. I mean,
So
are we
then,
gonna?
so then maybe next year you look at, requesting that they both be in the same bid,
Yeah,
It can be next year. Our mowing contractor is tied into a 2-year contract. So it would have to be
Whatever.
2020.
Well, add to his contract,
Isn't this the same guy that bid it?
yeah.
Yes.
So
add
he,
to his contract.
Because his spray, the contractor that bid it for spraying that also mows, his was invalid because the chemicals that he bid are not approved for turf.
plus it was twice the cost.
Yes.
Yeah, plus we have hashed out in 2 different meetings with the cemetery board.
So-
I don't know why it wasn't put in the October packet. I can't answer for that. But-
So all we need is a motion to approve because it's already been sprayed.
We have a motion for Vince.
Well, the mowing guy is 20,
Right, but I'm saying if they got
22
the,
mowing
if they got the
season.
bid earlier, then they wouldn't have to worry about,
Yeah.
issues. Get a bid in March or April, and then they got the spraying bid done. You don't have to
What
worry
about specifications?
Specifications on the spraying.
That's Jim Henderson has those
Jim has the
specifications.
specs on it.
So I mean,
Jim Henderson gave both contractors the specs.
I would ask that we just go ahead and move forward with my motion. And if you have more questions,
Yeah.
if we have more questions, then you can bring them up in November when Mr. Henderson is present.
Dustin Rope, Mr. Cena.
Because Jim
Oh,
isn't
it's
here
not.
right now.
Jim is the cemetery board president. He's the one that needs to be answering the questions.
So we have a motion. Is there a second?
What is the motion?
To go ahead and approve John Schwinger as the lowest bid.
Because he's already sprayed it.
Okay, are we adding to it that we're gonna bid it earlier next year,
Yes.
so we don't deal with this?
Yes.
And the committee won't spend funds before approved by the council.
Okay, we
Okay.
added it.
So you second it then?
Yeah.
Okay, second by Belden. So how do you vote? Belden?
Yeah.
Cobal?
Yes.
Reslow?
Yes.
Glass?
Yeah.
Askren?
No.
Okay, 12, resolution 2132C.
How long,
Is
this is the one I was asking about. How long has this been going on?
30
Is
years.
this the one that notices did not get sent properly and we had to completely
Yes.
redo and incur extra costs because it wasn't done
And then the public
appropriately?
hearing involved people wondering if it was one thing. and it was
Yeah,
another.
okay. I just want to make sure. I
Does this close
understand.
this out? This is done after this?
I suppose, yeah.
This is
Yeah. We gotta set a date for public hearing. next week.
11/8/2021.
Yeah.
Setting the date, so we just need a motion. to set the
Motion.
date.
I'll make it.
Moved by Cobal,
Second,
second by Glass. How do you vote? Belden?
Yeah.
Cobal?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 13, resolution 2133C. Intent to sell property located at 113 Northeast Second, the Quinn property.
Where is that, Dick?
It's a little building across from the taverns that caught on fire quite a few years ago.
Okay.
It used to
And
be
it's been
Diamond
vacant.
Head Documentation. Is that what it was before Quinn owned it?
And it was in Michael's place, I think, before that.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
But it's basically its minimum bid's gonna be 5,000. It'll be bidder.
Okay.
Not necessarily,
Well,
because if they're not gonna run a storefront out of it. you know,
Okay.
I mean, it's gotta meet these other conditions. They gotta rehab it,
yeah,
road
okay.
assessment at 50.
So this will open it up and everybody will have to have their bids
correct.
next month.
Yes.
But it gives the council the flexibility to say if you're not going to.
Do we have specifications to put and, stuff on the storefront?
It was in your
It's in the
packet.
storefront, it's in that is in the,
I just
notification.
asked if we had, I didn't ask for any of your comments, Christine.
She didn't say.
Wow, Mick,
That wasn't
all I said
Christina, it was
was
me.
in your packet.
It's Brian, and it's in your packet, and it's one of those what letter is it? It's A through F, Mick, is where it states that information.
Okay.
So,
So do you just need a motion to put it for sale?
yeah.
Cobal?
Yes.
Reslow?
Yes.
Glass?
yes,
Askren?
Yeah.
Okay, 14, number 2131C, resolution for charge for mowing and cleanup. We had our attorney go over this. I went over it with Chief Rehall, Jim Henderson, myself, and we're gonna start charging more for mowing. Possible $75 an hour if we use the mower. If we have to use the skid steer, which we have a few times, $125 an hour. Weed eating, $50 an hour. And then if we have to go in and clean up the property, $250 an hour plus landfill charges. And then it's gonna be double and triple the amount, because what we're running into is we're giving notices out and places aren't getting cleaned up, and then we have to go back and do all kinds of paperwork again. And this is just tried to nip it so people will start taking care of the properties and realize it's, and then there is a list that goes out with the flyer that gives numerous businesses that will do this type of work, mowing, weed eating, skid steer work, that people can get hold of a contractor instead of the city coming in and doing it.
And is there an admin?
I don't know who all this affects, what
Well,
citizens.
you have the list, don't you, on our
There's about
cleanup list?
3 or 4 habitual offenders.
But,
Okay.
I mean, it would affect everybody in the city if they fell into that. It's
Yeah,
not like
if they fell.
designed for
Huh?
people that's on the list now. It's designed to cover everybody if they fall into that.
Right.
It's just gonna make it,
No, just that notice.
unfortunately, a little bit more colorful than they keep it now, so.
Mowing,
Right,
mowing.
right.
Because what?
Well, here's my question.
Okay,
I'm just wondering if he has any resources or if there is anything that we can offer some of these people instead of continually just, well, if you don't do this, you're gonna be penalized, you're gonna be penalized. And a lot of these people maybe don't have the financial ability or the equipment to take care of some of this. You know, a while back, didn't we have something about helping each other as citizens? Don't you remember that, Mayor? We said we were gonna have something where maybe one person could do one kind of a service and then another person could do another kind of a service and.
And it doesn't happen. And Dave Rehall grabbed somebody's gas can, took it to their place fully, set it down there and said, here, you have gas for your mower, still didn't mow.
Or some people just don't live in their house
Some
anymore
people
and
just
just let
don't
it
have
sit. I
trees.
mean,
I
we have a
realize,
couple
yes,
of
it'd be
those.
nice, but I don't know who has time to go around and start taking care of it. And Jim took one of our better mowers one time and hit something. One place near Friend's Church, take the skid steer in there because there's so much junk and debris, you wouldn't dare take a regular mower in.
And the
So
person
what-
doesn't even live there. She just
No.
took off and kind of left her house.
Well, those houses by my house too.
South of you.
Yeah, south of me.
Yeah, but they
But that's already
maintain,
bought,
They do not maintain it.
but it's,
My neighbor man maintains it for them at no cost.
but it's been bought. It's
So they're
gonna be
lucky.
fixed up.
So they're lucky, that's right.
Yeah.
But what's gonna happen when these people are penalized to the point where they haven't done anything, they haven't paid it, they owe so much money that, what are they gonna do? Take a mortgage on their house?
well, it's
Or-
assessed to their property.
So it's
It's like
just,
a
it's a
tax.
property
It's
assessment.
like a
Yeah.
tax.
Well, what it says, you go income offset, you know, money for the taxes, there could be less, so much cash.
Less tax refund.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and it is, I understand what you're saying. It is unfortunate that that happens. It's just,
But I
You
think the
know,
people that are in
maybe-
super need that can't do it, I think they're either their neighbors or others help them out.
And the notice is plenty flexible, and we've given people extensions. We're working with, people on the list now, giving them extensions. So it's not like, someone comes up and says something, we're not gonna be flexible with the timeframes and stuff.
And there's a place up near me, Teresa, that she needed help. She reached out and church group took down some trees for her. Another guy mows her property for her all the time. And a neighbor of mine asked about picking up brush in people's yards, and a lot of people have these piles of brush that they've had for years. The brush pile's open every Saturday. Everybody knows somebody that has a pickup that they could borrow to get out to the compost area. But we deal with this every holiday, try to get stuff cleaned up for Memorial Day, 4th of July. And some
A lot of these
people,
are repeat offenders.
repeat, habitual.
We need a motion.
Moved by Belden,
Second,
second by Renslow. How do you vote? Belden?
Yeah.
Kava,
yes.
Renslow,
yes,
Glass,
Yes.
Askren.
Yeah,
16. Matt Funk.
Okay, the first one here,
The papers try to keep that.
okay. The Horrible Edition, we're asking, there's some contingency money that's in the All Saints edition. And the weed commissioner has given the notice that the grass and the weeds are getting too long out there. And so we've incurred some cost maintaining the grass and the weeds there. that
when you
were
say
not-
weed, is that seed?
seed, that was not anticipated. And so I gave out my packet, I think we're at like $3,300 so far. So it's been mowed this weekend. We all hope that that would be the last time for this season. So, but we're asking for that $3,300 to come out of the contingency funds.
So this is my first time going through this, but why is it the city's responsibility to incur this cost if it's seeds development?
because Seed's volunteering their.
No, I'm just asking.
I know, and I'm telling you. So I got an attorney back here, volunteers his time to subdivide everything and do all the legal work. The city gets $4,000 a year in property taxes from each one of the homes. I don't know how the city or the Seed doesn't get money from this
So
project.
this isn't gonna cost us any extra money. This is coming out of money that was already built in for the addition.
Nope, what needs, to me, Matt, I agree, this should be reimbursed, to Seed, but to me, this is just my perspective. I'd like to see Seed raise the cost of the lots or pass this cost to the, you know what I mean? Whoever is getting that house, getting that lot, fixed into what the future cost will be, because once the contingency's gone, then, you know, if it takes 5 years to develop this, the contingency's gotta be spent and CHIP's gone, but I think it's what, a year?
Listen,
Yeah, so, I mean, this works now, but if there wasn't a contingency, then it comes, I'm just saying, we could raise the cost of the lots to manage that, because this one's bigger, right? This
We'll
one's,
discuss that with Seed on our.
yeah, this one's bigger. This one's 45 lots versus the first one was, what, 30?
32.
And how did we pay for this on Humboldt 1 and 2? Did we not have this issue?
That was,
I can explain that.
Oh,
we had a city, it was city funded.
It's 39 lots, only 37 that we can develop, because part of the agreement when we were negotiating with the All Saints Church to buy the property, we came up with our final number, and they said, well, we want more. And I said, this is all the money we got. How about you take a couple of lots? So the 2 lots closest to the church actually belong to the church and are not covered by the restrictive covenants. So it's 37 lots. So you're right. It's bigger than either of the first 2 developments.
It may just take
but-
longer.
But the real issue is it took longer this time to get rolling than normally because of COVID.
Longer.
And, you know, everything's, and then we thought we would be running out of the gates in March, and it was quadrupled, and a lot of the construction prices went up. And I really put the brakes on it. So, you know, I think if those 2 events hadn't occurred, all those lots would have been spoken for by now.
What's the,
What are we
what's
doing
the
to do
commitment now out of the 37? How many of them are
We've got to 20 lots.
left?
That's what I was
There's
thinking.
17.
Yeah.
It's just,
So, and I apologize.
fine.
We should not have let it get looking as bad as it does.
No, it's just
because
when we're sending out.
We want this to be a
Notice.
professional
Right.
development.
When we're sending out, no,
Yeah.
we just talked about the ordinance or whatever, and when we're sending those out, and then, you know, that's,
And, you know, if there weren't a contingency fund, we would stomach it somehow. And certainly, you know, and we're looking at doing a 4th phase because this has gone so well. I
But we
mean,
just
the
don't-
first phase went far and beyond any of our wildest dreams, and really are proud of what we've accomplished with
can you
those
give an overview of
first
what all you
3
do in the evaluation?
phases.
Kind of what she's asking.
I,
What does Seed do to fill these lots? Can you, just like in a 2-minute, these 2 folks wouldn't even know all of the steps that you guys go through.
well,
I probably don't either, frankly.
it's because of the leadership of you.
I mean,
and-
the day-to-day,
and
we
that,
review
and-
lots and everything else and plans and.
Well, Matt and our realtors, Margaret Tiernan's done a majority of the marketing because she has signed a listing agreement with Savannah Homes, which has been our biggest developer. They haven't built all the homes, but Savannah Homes has certainly been our mainstay. And they started out with their own realtor, and we're getting so many more referrals from Stuart Realty that they ended up with a listing agreement with Stuart Realty. But they primarily do the marketing. The biggest selling point is that these are free lots, which we've been able to do by buying the land and putting in the infrastructure with TIF financing. That's paid for itself faster than we expected to, because we keep adding, $250,000, $300,000 homes. So.
I was,
Approximately how many realtors out there?
Well, not as many. I mean, we used to have 3 local realtors. Stuart Realty is really the only real local realtor we have anymore. Matt used to be one of our local realtors. So we're seeing some more influx from realtors from the metro and
What I was trying to get at though is, Warren, you work with Forrest on the site survey, or I don't know these.
right.
So
Well,
I guess
right now, we've gone through a couple of iterations, looking at other land to develop, and I think we're at the point where we need to actually hire Leanster and Kim to do a formal evaluation and site plan, but just to give you a little heads up, we've looked at property out by the cemetery, we've looked at property north of the current first and second Wambold additions. We've looked at property east of the grocery store, north of what will be an extension of.
North of
south
Wambold, one. Isn't that
Normal phase 2, just going that crop
Normal.
road line. Phase 2,
phase 2?
there's a,
The one that's out of.
No, I know, but if I'm
And-
remembering right from my planning and zoning days. was
It's
there
way
not-
down on the list.
Oh, I was
I will
gonna say,
tell you.
wasn't there
And-
an issue that we
and-
had, there may
Ted
be
said
an
that's
issue
the
that we
place you
brought
should
up
go.
when we
In
were
terms of
looking
the-
at
Yeah, exactly.
the development and the ownership of the property and doing some things, I don't know. I'd have to go back and review my notes, but I thought there was some.
The biggest issue out there is the way the land lays, that we need a lift station to handle sewer. But, and then there's some land that Roy Sargent owns on the east side of town, I think between 4th and 5th or 3rd and 5th.
But I guess talking to that housing developer from Savannah, I mean, proximity to the school north of Wamble was what, I mean, is definitely his.
Well, Savannah Homes has done so much to help this project along, we want
Do they
to
still
keep them
get,
happy.
if I remember right, a couple years ago, the city approved some kind of program that the state doesn't charge them tax on their building
They
materials?
haven't asked for it in the last couple of years.
That's,
They did that one.
that's the workforce housing program that allows them to get
That
a
has helped
refund
tremendously
of
with
sales
them,
tax.
right?
No, they used it once and it was such a hassle, they haven't done it
They haven't
since.
asked for it.
You have to do 4 houses at once to qualify, and I think that's the biggest hurdle.
So getting back to the
Yeah.
cost here, kind of-
We wouldn't ask for it if there had been a contingency, but we feel like the contingency fund was there in case there were additional costs of the development that we didn't anticipate. That's kind of what
So you got
contingency.
20 more homes to do right now, basically.
Right.
Back to Brian's point, if you have the contingency, use it up, it's gonna be gone, right?
Right.
Is there any way, to his point, that you could increase something? I
We-
don't know where the cost,
Right,
but you're looking
right.
at maybe $200 a home,
A
you know?
lot, yeah.
Or a lot,
Right,
yeah,
right. No, we could put that into the development agreement and then the purchase agreement. We do that right now, the legal costs, that's basically the consideration that the buyer puts into it.
And
They
is
pay
this
for
a-
the abstract, whereas the seller would normally pay for the
Is
abstract.
this a final number, this 33, or is there gonna be another?
For
You said you had-
2021.
Well, no, you said you had another mowing that was done, does that include?
The 3,300 includes the about a $350 estimate.
For this last.
For this
mowing?
last
The
one.
last one, so.
And we think that's
So,
gonna be it for
I-
now, and
Yeah.
So it's one time
For
deal
2021,
as an exception.
for 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
And your mower was John Schwinger, which you had
No,
problems
it's Matt
with.
Kiernan.
So the last one was Matt Kiernan. It's been.
it's on the last page.
Sean has both, I've seen him do it.
John has done mowing and spraying for us on other projects, but yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
Or, that's right,
Project
the first
also.
time we had all the lots mowed, it was John.
it's been subject to estimates and availability.
Yeah.
Do you guys send it out for bid or do you just? whoever's
This last one was
available?
sent out for bid. The ones before was done
But you had no
immediately
problems with
to,
either Schwinger or Van Tieren?
it was done immediately to keep from getting harassed by the weed commissioner.
Okay,
No,
so
we had weed
we
commission.
will,
That's
I
gonna-
can't even know.
We will just-
Every day.
I'm gonna just repeat what they said as the motion that we need to be made, that will allow this expense as one-time deal for these years, considering that the seed will be taking care of the issue down the road.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
Thanks, Warren.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jason.
We
Warren.
made a motion
Thank
to
you.
that.
Motion.
Yeah.
Moved by Cullen,
Okay.
second by Glass. How do you vote? Belvin?
Yep.
Kavah?
Yes.
Renzo?
Yes.
Glass?
Yes.
Askren?
Yeah.
Okay, TIF proposal?
Okay. And then, I have a tip proposal here for the Stuart Herald. Christy Lonsdale and Jim Zinski, owners of the Stuart Herald, are requesting tip funds to go towards, roofing, waterproofing their roof and insulating. It's a product, well, fairly new, that waterproofs it and insulates it. And, gonna put metal on the back wall of the building. So,
Can you do that and within our code? Is there something to do with metal and which way
Uh,
it's faced?
for the
They
commercial
changed,
building,
they changed the code, it used to be, and they changed it, you can go vertical, horizontal, at one time, they,
Is that only for commercial or is that commercial and residential?
You said this is the back?
this is the back
I only
wall.
asked because I thought they changed it after Alan Neal built his house.
That's for residential.
Yeah, I thought-
That's why I'm
I thought
asking
originally-
residential
yeah,
versus
residential,
commercial. So commercial, it doesn't matter. Residential, it does.
And this would also, currently on the east side of the building, there's already white metal there, so this will
continue.
continue that look. So that, I'm asking for a rebate amount of $10,000 per year for 4 years for a total of $40,000.
So I mean, these numbers are backed up by a bid of some form?
Yes,
Okay.
she's already got bids for those, yes.
Okay, and you've seen them or whatever to get to this?
Yes.
Okay. And then same thing for the,
Is there a minimum assessment that has to go along with those two?
Yeah.
to me, it's all just
Alright.
gets
Yeah.
referred to John and he can look at it.
Yeah.
Because this isn't an expansion or a modification of business either.
Yeah, so minimum assessment agreement and then conditions for funding, provide estimate, which they've already done. And then, some photos of the work once they're done.
But
And then
just
of course,
to be clear on the differences in these proposals, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. It's, when we've done these before, there's been a change or modification in the business, an improvements made or an ownership change to, keep the place open or occupied.
This one here's preserving our newspaper.
I totally understand
I
that.
get it. I was just asking.
That's just the,
Need a motion to refer the item
Yeah, I'd like to
to bond attorney.
Refer that to the bonding attorney, if we could please.
Moved by
are we
Belvin,
doing all these at once?
We do both of them.
You want to do the second one? Okay, we do have that.
Well, there's only two, right?
This is got a good one too.
And then,
Good thing.
country kitchen.
Yeah, I want to talk about that separate.
Okay, there is a motion to refer the first one to the bond attorney. Is there a second?
Who made the
by
motion?
Glass.
Who made the motion?
You,
we'll just do this, and then
let's
we'll
go
go to the
ahead.
Okay, we'll
She
do
wanna
that.
talk about
next, then we'll
it.
go to the next one. Okay, so how do you vote? Belvin?
Yeah.
Cobal?
Yes.
Renslow?
Yes.
Glass?
Yes,
Askren?
Yeah.
Now the second one, Matt.
Okay, then we have a proposal by Ryan and Heather Morrison, Morrison Commercial Properties. They are the deed holder for the country kitchen at 1120 South Division Street. They are requesting TIF funds for some improvements in the building. It's requiring roof reconditioning. Let me look over my notes.
Has country received TIF funds in the past? Or is this the first time that they have applied?
Everything's happening on, but I'm not-
I don't know. I'm just
I
asking.
don't believe so.
Okay.
So they're just doing some building improvements basically now.
Building improvements, yes.
Same thing as the first one.
Yeah.
Make the motion.
So,
Okay, moved by Belvin,
Second.
second by Cobal. How do you vote? Belvin?
Yeah.
Cobal?
Yes.
Renslow?
Yes.
Glass?
yes.
Askren?
Yeah.
Okay, Blight property now?
okay, then the next one here is the, this will help,
So
It's
should we clarify
some
this?
heads.
You want to talk about that now?
I would like to, just
Oh.
to
So,
clarify it, in
just-
case it ever arises.
just for clarification, yeah,
Oh.
A council member or a public official is not able to receive TIP funds. All I would qualify with that is this is being discussed. So how, regardless of how the election goes, I mean, that's not in the air, but I'm just qualifying.
Can we
Just in
can we
case.
keep that in mind,
Yeah, so the discussion.
moving forward?
yes, yeah, that'd be, subject to our blind, to our bonding attorney as well.
Just tell us that same thing. Yeah.
But just as long as we keep that in
Mhm.
front of us in case it does happen.
So, okay, now we got for blight property, we can use TIF dollars in residential areas.
Yes.
So, what is proposed here is, residential blight housing rehabilitation guidelines. And then, do I need to read this off? Because Mick,
Nope.
you're not available.
I was gonna wait for you to finish. I would like to table this part of it until next month because we were just given this tonight. And I want to be able to look at it and understand what's going into this project before we refer it.
So this would just be guidelines.
Right, but I want to be able to review this.
Mhm.
So that's why I emailed earlier, because if, I had a feeling this was the case. And if this was gonna be the case, I would like for these things to be given to us before a council meeting, so we have time to review them. So I'm asking if we can just table this piece of it until next month, so that way we all have time to review and have comments and whatever it shall be.
I think there's a case of urgency with one of the places that's a blight house, so.
It doesn't matter. It's not going anywhere in a month.
Bart, Christina, let me finish. That was very inappropriate of you.
Which house would that be, Nick?
The Fitch House.
Isn't that sitting with our city attorney?
No,
Uh,
it was, but we had a guy, an individual possibly is gonna buy it. And he looked at it today and he said it's in real bad
It
shape.
needs to be tore down.
Well, not necessarily, but this individual said depends on what happens with this rehab blight, that if there's a little money available, possibly. he
I
could-
would still ask that it be tabled.
And it's, to me, it doesn't hurt. You know, we just got this tonight
Yeah.
too. So it's gonna have a
Well,
conference
this
call.
is a little different. These large 5 print items is a lot different than a page and a half of small print that could affect a lot of. I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with getting something like this.
There's nothing getting approved tonight. It
I
gets
don't care.
referred.
I would like to be able to review this before we even refer it to our bonding attorney.
So, and I
Well,
appreciate.
That is my request.
I appreciate where you're coming from. I see your point on that, and I see Brian's that if we refer it and they say, well, you can't do these certain things, and then we bring it back the next meeting.
and get the
Well,
ball.
what if the next meeting, I say, okay, A, B, and C, I don't think we should use, then we're spending more money by sending
We're not
it
spending
back
money. They
to.
won't charge us to have an initial conversation.
No,
So I would,
my
Just-
ask would be to table it till next month.
I would just like to add though that these are some guidelines that have been,
I'd like to see it approved. I'd like to see us talk about it tonight and refer it tonight.
Do you even know what we're talking about? You don't even have a copy of what you're reviewing and approving.
Yes, I do, and I know a hell of a lot more about it than what
You do, because Matt Funk just handed it.
No, I have conversations. La-di-da, Christina.
Yep, we're getting straight through. I'm just not okay with it.
so
It's
I'm,
not approving anything,
But,
we're
yeah.
just sending it to
We
the
just
person
pushed
to
through the
review it.
spring bid after the spring was done. I mean, come on.
This is a little different. This is
It is?
a
This
lot
doesn't involve
different.
money.
It does involve money.
$3,000.
And it's not setting anything in stone.
No,
It's just
not at
saying,
all.
I voiced my opinion. I
That's
don't
fine.
like having things
Okay.
handed to me at 6 o'clock that,
And I am gonna join Christina in that, because I don't either like to be handed something right before the meeting, or have motions written up during the meeting about something that we have not had an opportunity to discuss, and have it pushed through. I don't think that's fair. So just table it, let's have time to digest it.
Very bleak, there's nothing really secretive about this.
I didn't say it was secretive. I'm just asking
I
for time to
didn't say
review it.
you, Christina, I said Terry.
so, the goal here though was to come up with some guidelines that would help the city.
What's that?
These guidelines are to.
I get it. No,
protect the
yeah, I
city.
wouldn't. So what's your holdup in
Because it's
referring
a
this?
page and a half,
But
and
what
I
if you
wanna be
wanna-
able to read it and
Okay.
review it and
So what-
understand it.
Why can't you send some suggestions back through
Because-
Ash and he'll refer them to the bonding attorney as well, between now and next month?
Well, that's how I feel about it, and that's just where I'm at.
You know, Christina, I know about it, Brian knows about it, Dick knows about it.
Well, I know you guys know about it, because you guys have all been talking about it before the meeting.
No, that's not true. Last month, I specifically asked the council for the okay to work with Matt and Mike to develop guidelines and bring back.
And we developed a program similar to this, and it was used up by one developer. Can you tell me
This is
that
not the same thing. This
Brian
gets rid of the old
Morrison
one.
or Los Altos Properties or
Anybody
the
can
guy
apply for
who's
this.
developing the house next to Matt's gonna be able to?
Anybody would be able to apply for this as long as the house
It's
is
fine.
blank.
My 2 cents is that I don't like that I was given into it at 6:30, and I would like to table it. That's all I have to say about it.
Well, we don't have to table it.
Well, that's your,
I could read these out loud
We
if you
don't
like.
have, we don't have to table
Good
Say
idea,
that.
Matt. Go ahead.
Okay.
You read them?
That's.
So, all right, so the Blight Project is designed to bring dilapidated properties back to life with the intent for resale. Bring the property values
And I
up.
apologize, but I might interject while you're going through these as to why these points are brought up.
Okay.
So this first one, we used to do development agreements to incent people to tear down properties versus rehab them, okay? Well, if you can incent people to rehab them, that'll bring back tax dollars that we should get and properties to be fixed up versus vacant lots all through town. When you lose a house, you lose a utility customer, sewer customer, tax base. This should help with that.
So we'd like to bring the property values up and increasing the tax base for the city of Stuart. Number one, the developer will have 6 months to complete the project upon approval by the city of Stuart. No exceptions will be given. Number two, must be proven to be a blight property. Number three.
So this, number two, the premise for this entire thing, just from working with Ash and the bond council before on this, number two is gonna have to be beefed up, which he'll do. He'll make recommendations to say you need to put criteria in place to say what blight is, which means black mold, infestation, that type of thing. You'll have to have enforcement violation noted in a report, and the council have to vote on each one classified as blight. So, anyway, go
Okay.
ahead.
Number three, prior to being accepted for approval by the city, the developer must show that they have clear title to the dwelling and the ground. Number four, things that will qualify you must be an approved local contractor within the city of Stuart with a proven track record of completing property rehabilitation in a timely manner. Must be able to provide the city of Stuart with proof of insurance covering at a minimum of $1 million of liability insurance. Must be a contractor developer with the intent of selling the proposed property following the 6-month process. Under no circumstances can the structure, dwelling, or grounds be used as a rental property, temporary housing, or storage facility, nor contractor or developer residence upon completion. Cannot be a homeowner with the intent of primarily fixing, repairing, or remodeling their house or fixing to sell. Items that are required for rehabilitation of a blight residential dwelling: A, repair or replace foundations as needed. B, install and matching energy efficient windows and entry doors. C, all structures on the property must have the old and existing roof material and sheeting removed. Rain gutters. Removal of all buildings that are not rehabilitated with the project, and all debris must be removed. F, any old porches that are in disrepair must be rehabbed or replaced. You cannot just remove porches for the sole purpose of reducing the cost of the rehabilitation project. G, all electrical wiring will be inspected by the State of Iowa electrical inspector. All wiring will need to be brought up to date as per local and state building code or replaced at the discretion of the electrical inspector. Must provide documentation of passing inspection. H, plumbing and HVAC need to be replaced with new energy efficient fixtures and appliances, being the furnace, air conditioner, water heater, water efficient toilets, and kitchen and bath faucets, etc. All materials gutted from the house may be hauled off by a dump trailer or roll-off dumpster. No burning, no burning said materials and household items are strictly prohibited by the city of Stuart. All wells on the property must be filled to the requirements, must be filed, I'm sorry. All wells on the property must be filled to the requirement of the state of Iowa. Number 6, cannot apply for TIF, light housing, or any form of urban renewal funds if you are a paid employee, a city employee, or an elected city official.
Which is what we were just talking about.
7, following the rehab, the developer must contact the county assessor to look over the property and conduct an on-site property assessment and valuation. The developer is required to furnish all updates and improvements to the county assessor for them to accurately reappraise the property. All applications will be handled by the economic development director, and once accepted, I will propose those go in front of the city council.
And these can be done, the idea is this would be done on a yearly basis and based on affordability. If Chip and Ash agree that there's TIF capacity to do that, we do it on a case by case, and if we don't that year, then it doesn't work.
So who keeps track that all electrical inspections are being done, contractors for HVAC, all being done, and that all of them through you?
Yes.
So they have to provide all their certificates
Yes.
to you. They have to provide that their contractor is an actual contractor and not
Yeah. we
some
would
Joe
have
Blow off the street.
applications for those up front.
Contractor and developer, so that just excludes the guy that does, because isn't the guy that owns the house just north of you, isn't he from out of town?
Yes,
I
you
think,
mean,
I don't think John will sign off. I don't think John will sign off on that one.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I'm just asking.
That's what I'm saying, we can throw. Right, so it doesn't matter.
so, of course,
What was your question, Christina?
It's on the local.
Oh, up
On
I
the
don't think
local,
you can
because
preclude- I don't think you can
I know that
preclude it.
there's a guy that is rehabbing a house here in town that is from out of town.
I don't think you can preclude someone.
Right, or some of his contractors out.
that might be something to get you.
Yeah, he'll change it,
Okay.
just say you can't do it.
Thank you.
So anyway, where else were you at?
Back,
Sorry.
8, you're on 8.
okay, so all applications will be handled by the economic development director. A development agreement must be approved by a bonding attorney. And then payment from the city will not be made until the project is completed and sold. Proceeds from the city are subject to available funds and will be no more than 10% of the sale price. This percentage will be approved by the city of Stuart at the commence of the project so that the developer knows what they are working with for funds.
And Brian, can you tell everybody why we're going in this avenue instead of LMI?
So I'll try, but I mean, more formal. So you can, this is residential only. So LMI is much more restrictive in what you can do, much more difficult. Ash, I mean, I'm getting something out. It's a lot harder with a bunch of rules to follow.
Yeah.
And this one gives you more flexibility. It gives the council more flexibility to help, not help, fewer rules. The other one, the LMI, you have to have restrictions on sale price and all the analytics that go into it. You have to have more legal fees. So less money goes into the home, less money goes into, helping the property than.
Well, unless I stand to be corrected though, this would free up LMI for homeowners, people everybody else.
LMI, this is, to me, this
I thought
replaces
LMI
LMI.
you couldn't use for homeowners.
You can't use for homeowner. He's saying for someone to buy it. You say for somebody to buy a house, that's an LMI.
Down payment.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
That LMI has, we can use that for other areas, for the, and past there was other people that were, didn't win the race, in getting the funds, so this will.
yeah, it has different rules and
Yeah, but
regulations.
this one has fewer rules and is more flexible than.
But you're not able to use LMI and this program at the same time.
No, contractor, no.
Absolutely not, no.
I'm gonna refer that.
And
to-
this may come back with a bunch of bullet holes in it, right? So, I mean,
Hey, Brian,
yeah,
hey, did you bring up the 6-month deal?
Yeah,
It's-
Matt read it.
Matt read the whole thing and
Okay, I didn't know if we got, I didn't hear for 6 months. I got
Okay,
cut off a little bit.
I can go again. The
Is that
developer
number
will
one?
have 6 months to complete the project. That was your,
Yeah.
asking about, yes.
Yeah.
That's item one.
So I just,
I just know
And so what happens when they don't get it complete in 6
that
months?
have been over
when
there
it's terminated,
over
it
a
just
year.
says there's no,
They're disqualified.
Okay, so,
no
But what if
exceptions
they
will be
come up here
given.
and they say, oh, I'm sorry, COVID, can't
Well,
get it done
No
in 6
exceptions
months?
will be given for others.
Okay.
and
As long
maybe
as
that's
it's
a
clear.
point that maybe our attorney will say is what's the remedy if they don't do that? You know, because you're right, it says no exceptions, but what's our remedy on it? But we're not giving any funds up
I'm
front.
not saying that, I'm
Right.
just saying.
Yeah, see,
that
just like this, just like this development agreement with
There's
Casey.
specific things in there that somebody needs to be overseeing. If this is the program we're gonna go, and then specific things need to be followed.
Yep.
And making sure that electrical inspectors and the certificates are being handed to Matt, and that it's an actual contractor doing the work.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to skip over some things.
Just like this. City has the right to terminate this agreement at any point. So then we don't have to go through all this notification, That's just, there's just too much back and forth with our legal system that is a joke to me. When we sit here and do all this stuff and, it's on the back of the taxpayers and then we get, hung out to dry by a publicly traded company, I think it's ridiculous. So anyway, whatever.
The other thing, Ron, is you got some people that are gonna, make the time limit, and you have others that don't put their time limit, and ask for extensions and everything. Well, if you can't get an extension,
Correct.
Right.
So this will force or drive the contractors, developers to get their projects done. If realistically, if you get a startup contractor, if they take longer, they're gonna end up losing money. So I feel this is
I
also
think
a
that,
benefit.
an agreement
to the
says that
contractors.
it's null and void if it goes past the 6 months that Ashley you said or something. But anyway, it's just a discussion. So, I moved to refer, do we already, yeah, we already did. I moved to
I
refer this
second
one to-
that.
So,
Move to the bond attorney, second. Okay,
Thank you for
moved and
going.
Second by Astor. Thank you, Matt. Okay, so how do you vote? Belden?
Yep.
Kavah?
Yes.
Renzo?
No,
Glass?
Yes.
Askren?
Yeah,
Okay. 17, code enforcement. I was just gonna say that Jason and Matt have given out a few citations, and the problem I'm having right now is our city employees are doing the mowing, either with the mower or brush hog. And I think I'm gonna have to reach out to private contractors to go ahead and get the weed eating done and possibly trash removal. Which we
what about mowing?
well, if Jim and Corey can't take care of the mowing, then I'll have to reach out to other contractors. At this point, they're getting the mowing done. It's weed eating and trash removal needs to be done. And so I've got a whole list of different local contractors we have, and I can reach out to them because we've only got 2 employees and they're pretty much tied up. Yes.
Instead of doing like we did with the mowing and the spraying at the cemetery, why don't we just contract it all out and then they're free from it, they don't have to even worry about it.
Well,
We just do it and.
I could do that. Ash always says it costs us more, but does it or because
Well, yeah.
you're paying them good wages
Exactly.
to go away from their
What
regular
they need
jobs.
to.
and when you
What,
say
Matt?
contracting out, you're just talking about the infractions.
What'd you say, Mac?
Just because there's been talk about,
How,
so this is just the infractions,
Right, for sure.
there, why are we not putting that out to bid?
because of seed.
And that's
it
C.
does get- they put it up.
It's not seed, it's us, it's the city.
Warren, don't you guys put that out to bid?
We don't always, that's one advantage of
But haven't you?
seed has over sure.
I thought you,
Typically, we want to use money wisely, so.
you may not.
We try to get at least 2 or 3 so that we know that we're not.
Some of it.
But that's not on us, that's
No,
the seed's
no,
doing, so
right.
I don't,
But
we
it's
don't need to
still
be
our-
sticking our
It's
nose.
still our money.
It did, as in the last time though, we had a deadline to meet. So,
For what?
For the thistles.
yes, we had.
Oh, I think he's talking more of the athletic fields.
That's
I'm
fine.
not going to
For the athletic fields, yeah, we
Yes.
always get.
Yeah, the athletic fields are bid, Warren says.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
When does it go out to bid?
Well, it's not a public bidding. We just, we try to get local contractors, so we start with local
When
contractors.
you get ready, when you you get ready to build that again, would you please call me?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
So,
Okay,
no, it's fine. I asked Dick, there are 2 properties that were on the list that were supposed to be taken care of in May and reviewed, and I've been asking month after month about a status on them. And there's still nothing been done on either of them. One of them is on South Gaines. It looks horrible. There's trash all over the front of it. And the other one is on North Sherman, and the weeds are taller than the house.
But I said I'm gonna prioritize. We've only got $500. He
I
can only
understand
do
that,
so
but-
many of them.
These 2 were on the list well before any of these. So I would like to have these 2, because we gave an extension to May. It's set on the last list, and every month,
Sherman and what's the other one?
512 South Gaines just get trimmed, so they're not taller than the house.
I'll talk with
Jason.
We
Jason.
referred that Fitch property, so that needs to just go through. That's gonna have to involve the county cemetery. I mean, I just.
Well,
Well, apparently it's getting
Unless Mike goes ahead after I talked to him today, if this blight goes through, he said he might still be interested in buying.
But I
it.
mean, just independent of that, act as though
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
Oh, they
It
have
just
very-
needs to-
It
Well, I
still
mean,
needs to continue until
absolutely.
until
Yeah,
purchase
until-
agreement is at least
okay.
done.
Just,
I was trying to
just because
eliminate the
otherwise-
lawyer fees.
just, well, I know,
Yes,
but
it's
just
a-
because we're, otherwise we'll have to start that process.
but-
then,
Okay,
and that's
I'll
just-
call her tomorrow and, okay, now I'll just go to public forum. The only thing I have is, everybody had a copy of the letter that the police
Oh, yeah.
recognized,
Yeah, that's nice.
and that's all I have.
what
Look
letter?
at all these hands.
A letter, just somebody wrote that, our police department assisted them in an issue.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, John, you got something?
Well, this gentleman here is saying it first.
Okay.
I wanted to address, I was one of them that got a letter last week about my business and what would incur there. Before that, I guess give a little timeline. Talked to Matt and some options before, weeks ago. And since then, I've spoken to Ed Dwyer, Joe, sat down and talked to them, figured out what they had. What they have isn't gonna work for me, but since then, I have talked to the owner of the property at 223 Southwest Second Street, and we've entered into a formal agreement that, so he's going to have somebody come in and appraise this property, because his taxes just went up another 20 grand in the last year, so, yeah. So
Where's
he's,
that?
Yeah, where's,
it's Megan and Lance Kading's building, it used to be the auction house down.
Yeah, by the
Park.
skating rink.
20,000.
Yeah, the taxes are.
Or the value went
Right.
to 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, he's gonna have somebody come in and appraise it, so we can agree, and then I'll, so see what's available to help out there. I mean, and there's a lot of moving parts that are gonna be in there. In 2018, I bought that lot to build a building, and as you all know, building costs are outrageous. I have, contractors that stop by my shop, and, the percentages of lumber that's gone up a lot right now is, way more than what it would be to buy Lance's building. So Lance and I are moving forward with that, and that's where I'm at. So, and his building is in excellent shape, move-in quality, talking to Joe and Ed and the price that they wanted, it was out there. Granted, I knew there was probably more TIF funding. That's what Matt and I discussed. There's more TIF funding in that area.
Yeah.
But with talking with him, he gave me really no timeline either. So Joe's taking classes, Ed's got health problems, he can't really do a lot of it anymore. But, asking him, okay, if we were to do a deal, and he's like, I don't know, maybe a year from now, maybe a year and a half from now.
Mm.
This other building's less, it's move-in quality, it's ready to go. So,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm at, so.
Can you have a definite answer next council meeting?
Yeah.
On Kading's?
Yeah, he'll have, he's a busy guy. It's been hard to get a hold of him here in the last couple of weeks.
Especially
Your
now.
farmer.
Yeah, today luckily was a rain out day and I was able to talk to him on the phone for a while and basically came to that formal agreement and he's gonna, who did he mention? I think Steve Kroger had somebody that was gonna come and appraise that for him, yeah, so.
So can,
So, yeah, Matt, can you tell us or tell me where we're at with this situation as far as the letter and where we're at now?
Yeah, I would need a building plan, business plan, or estimates.
But I mean, oh, maybe you can tell me,
It just had a timeline of fraction and, you know, each year that I and what I did to, I mean, basically throughout these 4 years, starting with nothing and trying to prove that my home garage wasn't the answer for me. And that was all along. I never came to argue the codes or anything like that. I mean, I'm completely reasonable about all that. And buying that lot in faith, basically showing you guys that my end goal is to move out. I want a business in this town.
are we, I mean, a timeline to get something done, or?
I'm sorry, did you get a copy of that letter?
It told me that I needed a building permit by today for my lot over there. But, you know, with everything that, like, the best fit for my business is moving forward with Lance and going that route.
So if we've reached the deadline on that, do we have to give an extension for another month or what?
Well, we're in public forum.
You're in public forum, you can't do anything.
Well, I'm just asking.
I will call Beverly personally tomorrow, and I've been dealing with her. And Andy should have actually been on the agenda instead of public forum, because we can't make any motions. But I'm going by his good faith that he says, yes, next month we'll have something on. Because the problem is with code enforcement, can I go give Mumford's and Fitch, say, well, we want the 4-year Andy Forrest treatment? No, we can't do that.
No,
You're ready to move forward on this, and I hopefully Andy is at this point, yes, he could talk with Katie and have something done.
Right, and I understand, and that's kind of what I'm looking at, is like, we've been giving out all these other enforcements. And you were up here when I first got on and they talked about it, and I know you know it, it's just, do we give another extension, or we just keep going with the process, see what Beverly says, and then hopefully within that month you'll have an
How did we get this in the first place? Because he's not the only business that operates out of his house.
Amen.
It's the type of business. It specifically says auto repair or something.
And he's not the only business in town
It doesn't
that
matter if it's a
operates out of
business,
his house
it's an
doing that.
auto business.
But there are other people
There
doing it
are
out of their house.
other people doing
And I remember this
auto and
came-
mechanical repair.
This came to P and Z,
out of their
and I
homes.
know the one person that does do it, they said he was grandfathered in. Fine, whatever. I'm just,
Okay, I don't know.
You gotta know the whole plan. My
Right.
grandfather did, 1980, they changed the
Right. No,
comprehensive plan.
I remember.
A lot of people,
Beverly needs
Beverly will
to-
take care of
But-
that.
Andy can
but
work
also-
together and-
For the last couple months, Andy has been working, because I've been talking to Andy personally and been working with Matt. And so, I mean, he's trying, he's told me that he was working with Lance.
Yeah, there's a lot of
and-
moving parts.
And Dick
I mean,
knows
I'm
he's been
not,
trying to work with Dwyer's,
Right.
so.
I'm not a, you know,
He's trying.
I'm not a nuisance. I get along with all my neighbors and.
And I don't know why we're getting into this big, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, are we going to give him an extension? I know we can't do it now, or what?
I
Well,
don't
that's
think
wait
this
till
is,
November
this
meeting,
isn't
see
the,
what he says.
the moment it's code enforcement, so to my knowledge, the council has nothing to do with it. It goes through the process.
But it's not
That's
through
my
our
question,
code
it's just
enforcement
gonna-
guy,
If
it's
he
now
form-
through Beverly.
But hold on, if he formally asks us for something, it would go through Beverly and back to us. And if there's a plan or a proposal that comes into play and says, Matt says, hey, okay, let me
So
see.
this plan, then I can, today I had 2 tips. If I get all the information I need, then we can drop a proposal, I can submit that to you.
Yeah, and that's basically where I'm at is, once he gets his appraisal, then I'll move forward with, I'll have to sell my lot. I've already talked to Ryan Geisinger, he's on board, he would buy my lot from me, so I can get my money back out of that I invested and stuff like that. So a few moving parts to get funding going, and it just,
And Andy, just for your information, I know paid sometimes is so-so, but he does have 2 buildings right over here right next to the storage unit for sale. It's commercial.
Yeah, that one's pretty small though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
So you're gonna talk to Beverly tomorrow,
What's that?
you're gonna talk to Beverly
Oh, yeah.
tomorrow.
I talked to her today.
And
I'll
we
talk to her
just-
tomorrow.
go forward and figure something out for
Yeah,
November.
Yeah, this building will be a good fit, I think. I mean, I went through all the other buildings in town and tried to figure out, okay, this is 3,500 square feet. It's double what I got right now. So, yep.
Okay, thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think John had something too, didn't he?
Oh, okay.
Did John sell
Oh,
something?
John, you got something?
I'm not gonna take a lot of your time. I just want to, I want to put in a word that I'd like to see us go back to quarterly meetings between the city council and the utility board. We're dealing with some things that could have been avoided had we done that. So, and I realize several of you are gonna be gone after next month, but then I'll be up here pitching the new council too.
So can you put that?
John,
Make
just
sure.
to clarify, there wasn't, the miscommunication that was led was not really led, because the original motion that was made was to communicate with utilities and to work with them. So I don't know how it got left out of the motion.
What
I
are you
mean,
talking about?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
I think,
so a motion was made a couple months ago regarding Carl's lot,
Carl.
and the motion wasn't taken down correctly because 2 of the 3 pieces were missing from it. It's all worked out.
That was my
It's,
motion.
No,
and it's- Yeah. I-
Well,
think
I mean, it's
John
passed,
just
but-
referring to in the future. We
You're
used
just
to
talking
meet
about
long
every- I
time
mean,
ago,
Joint
every
meetings,
quarter, so he
But
would
joint
like to
meetings
see
are
that
great.
again. Yes.
Part of
Talking
this,
about-
as I see it, had to do with a street being abandoned some time ago and not realizing that when you do that kind of thing, there's usually some utility infrastructure underneath that street.
And that street should have never been abandoned unless, and another example of inaccurate
case in point.
information leading to a motion, those streets should have never been vacated unless we got DICA to build and offer 50 new jobs to Stuart. That deed should have been held, the city should have never released those streets because it should have been held as a deed in escrow, so those streets should still be there today.
Well,
And I don't, and that's another issue, but it's just it's another subject, I'm just saying.
It's kind of an ongoing thing
Same
that
point,
we see.
same point.
well, you know, we had an easement and I don't think anybody, it appeared to me that nobody realized there was, we had an easement there and they just kind of plowed right over it. And I think we're on our way to making a resolution of that. But I think a lot of that could have been avoided. And I'm not saying we have to sit down every month or every third month and do that. If there's nothing for us to talk about, that's fine. But usually there's something, you've got a project going on, we've got a project going on. And if we could just share that, a lot of this kind of thing.
Yeah. The same thing with the water tower, that just came up last month. You guys have been working on it and could have checked, whether it's an insurance issue or a radius issue. A lot of that homework had already been done. So anyway,
Well, it wouldn't be.
good idea.
Good job.
Okay.
Thanks, John. Okay, who else? Tracy, you had something?
Yeah, I don't know the proper procedure to handle this, but I've asked, Tiernan Realty and a couple other people questions about a building that I am interested in. And it is the building next to the Stuart Herald, the old bank building,
Oh,
okay, and it belongs to the Maranatha Church.
got it.
But for all intents and purposes, that is an abandoned building. And I'm wondering if the city can do anything to move forward on either having, I don't know what to do.
It would be the same thing what we did with Quinn, wouldn't it
It's
be?
not Blake though. That's all, it's not.
Who knows what's
Does it have
inside
water and
there?
electric?
Active utilities first.
It does have,
It's a Burger King. I can't do anything about it because it's active utility.
but you can't get a hold of those people either.
Are they
Not
current
y'all
on their
did
property,
that.
are they current on their property taxes?
Yeah, well, there aren't any because it's
Church.
church.
They're usually there on
Sunday.
Sundays, because they park in front of the Redemption Center and they walk over to the church, so somebody's there on Sunday mornings. They're not very many,
lot.
couple cars, but they are there on Sundays and meet.
Thank you.
Fair questions though. And I'd like to see the building active too.
Anybody else have anything?
I just want to pass on that,
Okay.
Community Christmas is in the works, the second Saturday in December. I've got a group of people, and we are even looking at, Margaret Shannon's working with, me and some of our new homeowners to maybe bring back to our homes to include that. Kids shop free, I've already had donations coming in, so we are gonna do that again. And also today, I got everything confirmed. Sarah's Holiday Caring is kicking off Toys for Tots to happen again, and we'll be helping the families in Stuart, Menlo, Redfield, and Dexter again with Sarah's Holiday Caring in December also. So those two events are in the works.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Christie. Brian?
Caden property needs pollen.
Needs.
We please send them an infraction. Where's the weed commissioner on that one?
We'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Night, Christina.